Well, hello everyone. It is about that time where the weather gets a little colder. Even though it is Southern California, it is time to get ready to head into the gym. The new Freed Center for Leadership and Service is coming along nicely, as head coach Rhett Soliday will attest to. Unfortunately, not quite ready for this year. We'll look to start basketball officially in there come the following season, but the 2023-2024 campaign is almost upon us, Coach. You start playing next week or this week, depending upon when this comes out. So, how are you doing? How was summer?
Yeah, summer was good. A lot of travel, a lot of camps, a lot of recruiting, and a lot of family time. Those were kind of the big ones that we knocked out, but now we transition into the fall. My wife is back in the classroom, the kids are back in school, and we are active here getting ready for the season. And so it feels like November is creeping in, like you said, and it's such an exciting time of year.
Yeah, and it is fastly approaching November, which is a little shocking because with crossover season means we have to get you guys started. So tell us a little bit, recap a little of the team last year, 13-13 overall, 7-11 in the GSAC at the end of the day, not quite what you're looking for, but reflect a little on that season and then the departures of two of your stalwarts for the past couple of years in Garrett White and Isaac Davis.
Yeah, last year was interesting because with 2 weeks to go in the season, we finished at 500, but we were still playing to go to the national tournament with 2 weeks to go. And I think one of the big changes there was we lost a couple home games that were like down to the last possessions, including Masters, Westmont in overtime. And they credit them. They went on the road and did what good teams should do, and they found a way. And those teams got into the national tournament and had really good finishes to their season. And we sometimes you're close and sometimes you're there and sometimes you're far away, and we were right there and didn't quite get over the hump. So with all that said, we had probably a few things that showed up that maybe created a little bit of that inconsistency. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well as a group last year, although a couple individuals did. As a team, we didn't shoot it great. And we were inconsistent defensively and on the glass. We had a few nights where we were as good as anybody in the country. We beat Arizona Christian at home, big win on the road against Ottawa, who was a Final Four team. So we had some moments where we were as good as anybody. Putting it together consistently, I would say what was missing was consistency shooting the ball, and then probably just the ability to protect the paint and rebound the ball with consistency. And part of that was a little bit of a lack of length and athleticism at the rim. So I think we've improved that. And even though, Garrett and Isaac were huge, for 3 years, just absolute fixtures in our program, not just as players, but because of who they were. And so they were, and with that, Cody Knox had some great moments last year. So lost 3 guys that really had impact on the program in a lot of ways, but 2 of them obviously being all conference guys. But what that means is we have an opportunity, I think back to like our 18-19 season when we had a bunch of guys that just really, really wanted to compete and really wanted to win. And this team reminds me a little bit of that team. And so it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to rattle off the first 16 games of the season like that group did, but I do think this is a team that will put one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, compete every given possession every day. They have the opportunity to, and they love playing together and they love each other. So that gives you a chance, in every game.
Yeah. Funny you bring up that 18-19 season. That was the last year I was play-by-play here before I went off.
That's right.
I actually got into the role that led me back here. So
yeah.
Good time there.
Good year.
And of course, White, first in points, 504 on the season last year, 19.4 points per game, shot 51%, 11.2 points per game, third on the team for Isaac Davis, 280 total points, 121 assists, top the team there. So a nice book into their careers, and certainly that was fun beating Arizona Christian at home, number 1 team at the time. GSAC did have some good representation there at the NAI National Tournament last year, as you alluded to.
Yeah, and I think that'll be true again this year. I mean, whoever comes out of the GSAC, whether it's 8 teams or 10 teams, you're getting teams that are battle tested. And the one thing the GSAC does is, even though we're out here in the West, the GSAC will go play people and go travel if need be. I know Masters is going back east. ACU travels quite a bit. A lot of these programs are not afraid to go play anybody in the country, and or host anybody. And so the GSAC always comes out of the conference season heading into postseason battle tested. And so whatever teams are fortunate to represent the league have a great chance of doing well. And there's so many great leagues, but certainly the GSAC has to be considered still one of the top in the country. And so, I guess all that to say, last year it was Ottawa who was a top 4 team and then got hot and made a run, and everybody knew. Nobody in our league was surprised that they did that, because everybody knows anybody could do that from our league if they make the national tournament. So if we're fortunate to be a top 4 team, this year, 3 or 4 team, we'll have as good a chance as anybody at making a run. A lot of work to do to get there.
Yeah, you come out with a league that will feature Arizona Christian, number 3 in the nation, the Masters sitting at 15, Menlo and Hope receiving votes. We will get to the conference preview in a moment, because let's focus on Vanguard, because that's why we're here. So tell us a little bit about the team entering the 2023-2024 season. You can start with the returners.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So it's kind of funny, it feels like we graduated and lost a lot, but we do have 3 guys that started all the games last year returning in Phillip Willis, Preston Sims, and Jackson Larson. And all 3 are improved as players. All 3, had good off seasons. They're in great shape. They're veteran guys who are mature and know what it takes now. Phil is in his 6th year because of the COVID. He redshirted his first year, and then COVID allowed him to come back and work on a master's. And he's doing a great job in his role as a veteran, and he's just matured and grown a ton on and off the court. And so I just think he's in a great place mentally to really just provide that veteran leadership, that wisdom that is needed on a team, especially at different points of the season. Jackson Larson, just last year, his trajectory just continued to improve. He just got better and better as the season went on. And Preston Sims, same thing, and I think Preston's worked hard to really grow as a shooter and as a playmaker, getting downhill off the drive. Last year, he was such a great rebounder and a good defender for us, and then was capable offensively. And this year, I feel like he's taken another step in his game, and he's such a mature guy as well, on and off the court. And so those 3, Bryson Metz, I think, probably finished, I don't know where the votes were, but he probably finished 2nd last year for freshman of the year in the conference, and behind the young man at Masters, who's a really good player. And so I just think he's ready to break out. He's confident. He's so athletic. He's fast, and a lot of people underestimate him.
Yeah, but he's that Masters game where he flashed what could be.
Absolutely, and he's just a serious competitor. And he's not afraid to do what needs to get done for the job to get done. And so every guy down the line loves competing with him. And then we had, we have a senior that not a lot of people are talking about that was injured last year, Nico Daska, that 100% affected our team last year. We talked about the ability to shoot the ball and make shots. Nico is a high-level shot maker. And again, another guy that people underestimate, but he really knows how to win. He understands competing at a high level. He's a veteran. He's intelligent. Guys love playing with him. Nico's going to have a major impact on winning for us this year in his senior year, his final year. And then Pop was out last year.
About 10 minutes of game time in 1 or 2 games, and
that was it. He got injured, and Pop was really, him and Nico were going to be the difference makers last year from a team that was on that verge of breaking through again and being a national tournament team with the potential of making a run, and a team that came up just short. I think those, and everybody has injuries and all that, and everybody's got a story across the board. That was our story, but no doubt it had impact and effect on us. And so, the combination of kind of that and not really having a home gym and some of those things, the good news this year is we understand what that's all about now. We're not learning on the go, playing away from home while playing home games, and so now we're used to it. We're settled into that reality, and we're excited for the Freed Center. But the guys are going, man, we want to make sure that we really max out this year, and those veterans are really going to help a ton with that. And I'm sure that there's other guys back too that are going to step into major roles and have major impact on winning as well, that are returners. Guys just people won't talk a lot about, Micah Swartz, Mitchell Prevost, and some of those other guys that, Jaden Johnson is just an ultimate competitor. So we've got some guys that I consider not just to be glue guys, but to be guys that can also have major impact in the stat sheet if people sleep on them.
Yeah. To go back a little bit and recap, Phil Willis was second on the team last year in points, 13.6 points per game, 45% shooter. Bryson Metz, 186 points, averaged 1.3 assists per game. Larson, 9 points a game, 3.5 rebounds a game, shot at a 56.9%. We'll round up 57% because we're nice around here. Sims, 5.5 points a game, 4.3 rebounds a game. Nico Daska, 2 years ago, 156 points, mid-40s, shooting from the floor, and then 46% from beyond the arc. And J.J. Johnson, not only a great human being, but one of the finest color commentators.
That's right.
We've catch him on the women's games before this guy steals them for the men's games, because he still has some playing time left in him. So, who then is new to this program? Because we added a few guys, obviously, over the summer. One kind of later in the process, but he's all cleared and set to go. Who's new on the team this year? So
we've got two transfers that are really notable and I think can have impact. One is Anthony Teo. Teo is just an electric guard. He's from Citrus College, who's one of the winningest junior college programs in the state of California. They made the Final Four last year. He was an all-conference guy. Led that team in scoring on a team that had two other Division I guys and other guys that went on to play at high-level D2s and stuff. So Teo was a leading scorer on a team that was really, really good. And he plays in a great program in terms of coaching development. Brett Lauer there does a great job, and just a winner. And so we're getting a guy that, even though it's his first year in this program, in terms of the level of intensity, competitiveness, and all that needs to be present to be successful, he gets all that already. So Teo's going to be really good, dynamic, athletic, and can finish at the rim, can shoot the ball, can make plays for others, and can really defend at the other end. And he's gonna really improve us defensively at the other end as well. And then Cameron Wilson was kind of a late addition. He might be the best shooter on our team, or arguably, and we've learned that just in over a few weeks here of watching him compete. He just has a knack for putting that ball in the basket. He's got a knack for winning the ball on the glass, and then he's a presence defensively in the paint. When people attack the paint, he can really elevate and block shots and affect shots in a way that we were lacking a little bit last year as well. And so between him and Pop and Jackson and some other guys, I feel like we've got the kind of length now a little bit at the rim that can really cause problems. And so I would, Cam averaged almost 22 a game in junior college, and he averaged 12 rebounds a game. And then last year, at Florida Memorial, he was about 11 points and 5 or 6 rebounds a game, and in a little bit of an up and down year for him, but he's a guy that's capable of getting 20 on any given night. So really excited about those two, as incoming transfers. So I kind of feel like we have 4 new guys in terms of veteran players between the two transfers, Teo and Wilson, and then the return of Nico and Pop. It is kind of a new look, and we're playing at a pace that should display kind of that new look. We're going to really try to get the pace going early in games and maintain that for 40 minutes. And I think we've got guys that can do that, and we've got the depth that can do that too. So we should be fun to watch.
How hard is it then to put together a starting 5 when it seems that you've got 8, 9, 10 guys that
it is
can play?
It is, and sometimes the hard thing is if you look at your team and you go, man, I don't know if we've got that total game changer player. I think we could. I think some guys could emerge that I'm not even aware of yet that might, as that's a go-to kind of guy. But if we don't have that, I think that can be even more dangerous for opponents sometimes, and the guys are really committed to just kind of sharing the sugar, so to speak, and the ball is moving a lot on the perimeter, and they love sharing it with each other. And so, I think it'll be difficult because different guys in practice on different days really stand out. And the beauty of this team is these guys also don't really care about that. They really seem to go, hey, coach, whatever role you have for me, I'll embrace it and I'll do it as well as I can. And if it's calling on me to be in the starting lineup, great. If not, they'll be ready to go, And so, I don't know. I think You know, the one guy that's like the ultimate vet on the team is Philip Willis, you know, who he just, you just like having Phil on the floor just for a lot of reasons. And then beyond that, a lot of competition. You know, it's been fun, and it'll be fun to see, and the guys are embracing it. So we will see. That wasn't much of an answer.
You know, coaches are great at answering questions without giving away anything. That is your specialty. Ours is to try and dig it out. But what I can dig out is the schedule, because that is opening up here just as we're about to turn into November. You guys start with a little scrimmage expedition up the road against Concordia. And then, well, don't you guys have it all laid out for you? Because you're going to have a couple D1s in Cal Baptist and Boise State. Mm-hmm. You're going to have the #1 team in the NAI, as well as the defending national champion Yotes of College of Idaho. You also have the aforementioned GSAC schedule that features number 3 Arizona Christian and the Masters and the like. Mm-hmm. And then you also have another 3 top 25 teams mixed in there with Montana Tech and Northwestern out of Iowa, and you've got a couple other tournaments you're going to. Antelope Valley is the other one, and then you also have a Canadian School of Mount Royal, because that's always different, and we haven't had a Canadian school since the Dinos a few years ago at the Bill Reynolds Holiday Classic. So tell us about the schedule.
Yeah, and the top D2 on the West Coast last year in Point Loma. One of the things I'm not nervous about, but a little anxious for a little bit is I have to, it's a have to a little bit, not a get to. I have to compete against 2 former assistant coaches, Coach Downer at Point Loma and Coach Koima at Northwestern, who Downer's the head coach at Point Loma and Koima an assistant at Northwestern. And so that's exciting, and the love will be shared before and after the game. During, you know, it'll be I know those guys, I know their competitive spirit, and that'll be a ton of fun, but always a little anxious, you know, and if they beat us, I'll be happy for them the next day, not the day of. Later. So the schedule, I don't have any reservations saying I can't imagine anyone has a tougher schedule in the country. With a combination of the challenge of the conference schedule and the challenge of the preseason schedule. Sometimes you plan that to be battle tested, to be the best going into the end of February, giving yourself a chance to be at your best when your best is needed, gearing up for the tournament and all that. The reality is there's going to be games on the schedule early that are going to test everything about our resolve and our commitment and all those things. And we've got to, regardless of what the record is in the preseason, we've got to see it as the opportunity to continue to prepare us and sharpen us for the conference schedule. Because the bottom line is, in the NAI, it's all going to come down to how you do in your conference season that dictates if you have that opportunity, 1, to be in the conference tournament, 2, to be in consideration for at-large bids, to Kansas City if you don't win the tournament, and so, or the regular season. And so for us, it's about growth, and these guys are embracing the challenge that's in front of them. I don't know if they fully understand yet the gauntlet we've created for them, but we're beginning to unveil that a little bit more now as we talk about what it's going to take to compete at a high level. And some of those programs, I mean, there are national contenders across the board in the conference and in the preseason, teams that could get hot and go win it again, with College of Idaho obviously being the favorite to do that again.
Yeah. Always easy to pick the guys who just won it. So.
Yeah, and they've got everybody back for the most part, except for maybe one guy, and they're elite, and so that'll be a fun game, and we'll be playing on the road, and they got a great environment there, a ton of fun. Yeah,
just went up there a couple years ago.
Yep.
And did too well, so hopefully a little to reverse the trend up there.
Absolutely.
And then talk a little bit about what it means to take this team to 2 different D1 venues. It doesn't really mean as much in terms of scores, stats, the like, but the experience.
Yeah, so Boise State is the first one on the schedule, and we are their home opener, actually. And so, it's going to be at their arena. I think their arena seats like 14,000 or something. I would imagine there's going to be 11,000 plus there, maybe that's sold. I don't know, because they've had such good teams and such momentum over the last few years. Coach Rice does a great job. So we are going into an environment where we will clearly not be given a chance to win. What a great opportunity! That's a no pressure, let it rip kind of game. And we were up there we were up there in the 18-19 season, that team that had such a good start. And with 5 to go, or 6 to go, it was a 7-point game, and we were right there. And then they kind of made a few plays to pull away, but that was a tough, gritty team. So I'm excited to see what kind of grit factor we display, and what kind of resilience we have. Knowing, one, it's not likely you get too many calls in that environment, and then two, they're going to be longer, more athletic, potentially at every position, and so we get to test our fight a little bit, which will be fun. Ton of respect for those guys; they do a great job.
Cool.
Yeah. Then Cal Bat, I played for Coach Croy. He was my assistant coach in college, and somebody who's been a mentor, and have respected him and loved him my whole life, my adult life, from the time I met him, and we played them a couple years ago too during the COVID year. And battled them, and it was kind of a similar game, and they were in control, but we were always within striking distance, and battled and kind of hung in there, and so they kind of wore us down physically and made some plays, and imposed their will a little bit at the right times, like a great Division I program should. But at the same time, I think when we shook hands, everybody knew we battled them hard, and we made it a game and helped them get better, and we got better. And for us, those are exhibition games for both of them this year. They're countable games for them, though, and so they're going to lay everything out there to try to make sure they don't stub their toe. But our job is to show up and bring our best, and that's what they want from us. That's why two head coaches that I know well wanted to schedule that game. I think in part they trust that we're going to bring an effort and a fight that's going to sharpen them as we compete. So
we'll have some fun watching out on the bigger stages, but the biggest stage will be, of course, at OCC, where all home games will be. Talk a little bit about the conference, how things are going to shake out.
Yeah, the voting was interesting. I think, when you look at like the coaches' poll, it's very challenging. I think the one thing that was clear was ACU, until somebody knocks them off, belongs continuing to be picked as the favorite to win it. And Coach Rutter's done a great job they've had such good talent, but they've also played extremely hard the last couple of years, and they've played together, And so sometimes when you have a lot of talent, that's difficult to do, and they've done a good job with really bringing their talent together and getting them to play together well. I don't anticipate anything being different this year until somebody knocks them off. They're the favorite to win it. And then, after that, I do think Masters is very deserving of the 2 spot because of the combination of their talent. Coach Starr's such a good coach, and they've got the right combination of pieces back, plus some good talent they've added. That, again, they finished second last year, and until somebody changes that, they definitely belong where they were picked. Ottawa had a deep run. Hope International is just always going to be good. They're just Coach Check, the way he gets them to defend, they're always going to be in the mix, and they're always going to be tough and gritty, and no matter where their talent's at, and it's always high, but no matter what he's got, he's going to find a way to max his guys out. So those were kind of the big 3. And then, outside, I think Ottawa was picked 4th, and they were in the Final Four last year, and maybe only picked 4th because, they graduated their centerpiece, their big man in the middle, in De La Cerda, and a couple other pieces that were really highly impactful. But, he's done a great job. He's recruiting like crazy out there, and they're adding really good talent. So, if you look at all these teams in the GSAC, and then you're going through Menlo and Jessup, and if you look at all these teams, if you took any of these teams and you planted them instantly inside any really good Division II league, they would instantly be competitive in any league and have a chance to make a push in those leagues. And so obviously that's pertinent for us, because as we're getting ready to transition to Division II, the reality is we're in every bit as good a league top to bottom, in those top, and there's 8. And Life Pacific was knocking on the door. They had some injuries last year. They were picked 8th, but they had moments where they played as well as anybody last year, and they've got good pieces back. And so there's going to be a ton of parity. I think there's going to be more good teams at the top, or who people envision being at the top, getting beat by teams who maybe people envision more towards the second half of the bottom half of the league. I think we'll have as much of that this year as any year. We got to find our way through. If we're a little bit down, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to get back up and and get ready for the next game. It's going to be one of those seasons. But this team's going to compete, and people are going to really enjoy watching them play.
And then that just makes the non-conference even more important because unfortunately with only 8 teams, only one automatic qualifier, and that comes to their tournament. So not only you have to do it through the whole GSAC season, you then got to do it 4 more times.
That's it.
That'll be up at Hope International again. I think you've kind of laid out your final thoughts, your hopes and expectations, but if you were to kind of sum all that up and kind of synthesize it, what do you expect here for the Lions in 2023-24?
Yeah, a group that's going to empty the tank. They're going to max out. They're definitely going to be fun to watch, and anybody in the local community in this area, if they're looking for a team that is really easy to pull for and support, it would be Vanguard basketball, and I know that's true of our women's program too. There's a lot of good options in Southern California to go watch a good game. I don't think there's any better option than coming and watching small college basketball and watching GSAC basketball, and Vanguard will be as fun as anybody to watch in terms of the effort, the attitude, the way they carry themselves and represent Vanguard well. So we're excited to get going. Here we go.
And so we will on Saturday, November the 4th. The Caltech Beavers will be over at OCC. That will start at 4 o'clock. We will find yours truly on the sideline as you hope to get your first official win of the year. Of course, Wednesday, the 1st of November over at Concordia. So if you're local, please make your way over to Concordia Irvine. I'm sure that the Vanguard team would appreciate you getting over as a renewed rivalry against the Eagles takes off yet again to unofficially begin the calendar season. So, Head Coach Rhett Soliday, you'll get a chance at Concordia next year in actual conference action. So,
back at it.
A little preview for him. But Coach Rhett Soliday, thanks so much for joining us here today. Best of luck with the season. We'll be with you the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir.